What is up, everyone? Harry the Big Dog. Yo, we are at the halfway mark at number 25 of 50 of the 50-day countdown to the 50th anniversary. That's a lot of 50s. Yo, I got hold on. Let me do some shout outs first. Like, because I always have to shout out the the stations and all the stuff we doing, you know what I mean? Hold on a second. Where it is, where it is. There we are. Shout outs to Free Agent Radio, Free Agent Soul, and Broadcast Hip Hop Network. I know y'all seen broadcast television for the last, I don't know how many episodes, but there is the actual logo, Broadcast Hip Hop Network. Go listen to them stations whenever you get a chance to. You see, I got my Free Agent Soul shirt on, representing, you know what I mean? Ha. I'm gonna do some check-ins today. Shout out, yes, shout out to us for doing this. I got my partner in crime, in radio, in music, heavy hitter DJ Cam with us today.
Hello, hola.
And if you guys read the title, we are talking about how we used to get our news prior to the interweb, which is
Yes,
the internet.
yes.
Now, magazines became a big thing in the late 80s and into the 90s. And my man, DJ Cam, he just happened to have some of the dopest magazines you could ever get your hands on. And if you remember the nostalgia of them, this is like, when you opened it up or it was on the cover, somebody did something. Biggie was out. Busta Rhymes. It was a whole slew of them. Yeah, we gonna see a few of them right now. What's up, heavy hitter DJ Cam?
What's the word? So, like you said, we had the magazines that gave us the information, the hip hop. Well, these magazines that we're going to talk about today were basically all based around hip hop. Prior to that, you had other magazines, Right On, Jet, Ebony. They just talked about black culture as a whole. But these magazines talked about the hip hop culture exclusively. So that was the importance of these magazines. So the first one is what I consider the Bible of the magazines, the Source magazine, which came out first edition 1988. This isn't the first magazine, but this is just one of the magazines. This one happens to have Mace and the Locks on the cover, as you can see. Also, an article in there with about Suge Knight.
That is dope, bro.
And I'm a collector. I have all the Source magazines. You can see down here in the corner has a little tag where it has my old address where I used to live, where I was getting the magazine sent. You would get the magazines. For those that don't know, you would get these magazines once a month. There'd be 12 magazines that would come out a year, every month. Get the magazine, had the information about albums, and they did the 5 mics. So you
Right.
read the article on what albums came out, how Source measured up, if they got a 4 mic, 3 mic, 2 mic, 1 mic, 4.5. There was very few that got 5. I can't remember offhand which albums, but we'll get into stuff like that later. But this was how you got your information before the internet. This was the way to get it. You had to read. You had to know how to read. How about
You
that?
had to know how to read. That's where I
So
lacking. That's where I'm lacking right now, bro.
this was how you did it. This was the first magazine that catered to the culture of hip hop. 1988 was the debut that the magazine came out, and just like it said, the source. That's what it was. It was the source of information to the whole culture, top to bottom. So this was the first magazine. Now,
Fresh for 88, you suckers.
now in '97, another magazine came out, which was a magazine that started with half of the writers from the source left the source and started their own magazine. I think it was over
Wow.
finances and creative differences. So the Double XL magazine started 1997, and half of the staff were the writers that originally were with the source, and they started their own magazine. So here's this, once again, not the first edition, but just, this to show you one of the magazines that was out. This is a Double XL. It ran the same way as the source. They did the same thing
Yes.
with the rating of the albums, did the same exact thing. I forget how they did theirs. I don't even want to open the magazine and look. I don't want to play myself. But they did the same thing. They rated the albums, articles on, key artists, things of that nature. Once again, this covered the whole gamut of the culture, what was going on, the temperature of everything, how things were moving, who was doing what, and all of that. And the beauty of this magazine was the fact that the stronger writers from the source were the ones that started this actual magazine, which at that point, starting in '97, Double XL and the source were, was at war. And to me, when you have
Right.
competition, it always makes for a better product when another product has something to go up against instead of cornering the market. You know what I'm saying? So for a
Yeah.
long time, the Source magazine had the market to themselves. But when that happened, it really stepped the bar up with the articles, who was getting on the covers. You had so and so on the cover of Double XL, so that means the Source couldn't have them because they didn't get them quick enough. If an album was coming out and things of that nature, so it was a real rat race of keeping up with things. So,
Now that picture, show that magazine one more time.
mhm,
The dopest pictures they had. Let me put that in big. The dopest pictures they had. Look at Biggie.
yep, liking
That
stuff. Yep,
snapshot is so dope. And that was on most of the magazine covers. A nice shot of a group, of a record label,
mhm.
something. But it was well thought out and
Oh yeah.
well wrote out
Remember
just
now,
for
it was only 12 magazines a year, so you had to,
yes.
you had to make sure you put the right person on the cover and what they were doing at the time during that month or what have you. Whether they were releasing an album or maybe leaving a record label and going to another record label or starting a record label. Like, so all those things factored in on who got on the cover. And it was a big deal about getting on the cover because keep in mind, it was only 12 covers per year. There was definitely
Nice.
more than 12 groups at the time. You know what I'm saying? So that was a rat race of its own, to get involved with that. So then we move over on, still in the culture of hip hop, but dealing with a little more with the men and the males. So we had a magazine called the King Magazine, which came out in 2002, and this kind of dealt with the ladies that were in the videos. They called them video vixens. I kind of try not to really use that phrase too often,
Yeah.
but the ladies that were in the videos were becoming popular, so they created a magazine to kind of tell their story. So, and us as men, we're visual creatures. So shout out to Alyssa Ford.
let, let me let me let me make that big.
Yeah, please do. So we
Nice.
had the King magazine. So this was the King, like I said, came out in 2002, and they would deal with the different models, still dealing with the culture. You still had articles with hip hop cats inside the magazine as well. But the drive was the ladies that were in the videos and things of that nature and telling their story. But some of them were models, actors, actresses, things like that.
Yes. Up
This
and coming at the time.
that as well, exactly. So shout out to King Magazine doing their
Yes.
thing, and then also within that same year, like I said before, you can't corner the market and have a good product. You always got to have some type of nemesis. Then it was the Smooth Magazine, which started in the same year, 2002. And right here on this one, this is Coco, which is Ice T's wife, girlfriend at the time, but eventually he married her.
Okay.
Coco on the cover, and once again, the same concept, still dealing with the culture. You know, you know, of hip hop. Actors, you see Cat Williams is on there, so they would do articles with comedians, actors, black actors, the game. So you see the hip hop game right into the camera thing. It's on the radio guy right there.
Yeah.
The article with the game in the
Ah,
magazine as well. So this was the magazine that went up against King. So these two were similar to how the Source and Double XL were, being competitive and going at each other. And this, like I said, also came out and started in 2002.
nice.
And the last one we have,
Drums, please.
this one's close to my heart because it was for the DJs and the producers. And it was a magazine that came out in 2004. It only ran for 2 years. That's the part I didn't like. Only ran
Ah,
for 2 years, Scratch Magazine, and it dealt with DJs and producers. That's it. No
that's
rap.
Dr. Dre,
Yes,
West Coast Dr. Dre on there.
this is the first edition, as you see on the
Oh,
corner, the premiere issue. This was the very first one. We had Dr. Dre on the cover. Actually, the second one had Kanye West, and I have every last one of these for the 2 years or 2 or 3 years that it was out. And this, like I said before, came out 2004, but it dealt exclusively with the producers and the DJs. So you see Little John on there with the secret weapon, whatever that was contained to, and then a big article on Dr. Dre and his producing secrets and things of that nature. Probably
yeah.
talk some about some of the equipment that he used and things of that nature. So
You
this was a
see,
dope.
you see what I was talking about with the pictures. That is a dope picture.
Hmm. Once again, 12 only 12 magazines. They came out on a monthly every 30 days. So they only had 12 covers. So to be on the cover of a magazine was a big deal.
Big deal at the time.
There wasn't enough slots for everybody. Like I said before, there was more than 12 DJs. There was more than 12 producers. There was more than
For
12 rappers.
real.
There was more than 12 models and the whole nine. So to be selected to be on a cover was a big deal, massive. So that was
One more
the
time. One more time. Look at that.
Scratch magazine.
That
So
is dope. And this is how we used to get our hip hop information. And I've never seen this. You opened my eyes
yeah,
to this one. This magazine I've never even heard of.
it was a big. I was giddy when this came out. I ain't gonna hold you.
Oh
It
man.
was a big deal. And all the magazines I showed you, I actually have all of them. Like I just showed you the one copy, but I have, other than the Source, I don't have the first two editions of the Source. I have the Source from the third edition all the way to it stopped. Double XL, same deal. The King magazine, pretty much the same deal. Scratch, the same deal. The Smooth, I didn't. I was in and out with the Smooth magazine, but
Right.
large amount. But I was big on magazines because once again, that's how you got your information to what was going on. So
Yep.
I was big on getting them. I worked in a record store during the heartbeat of all that. So for me to keep up with what was going on, it just made sense for me to have those magazines to be able to keep up what was going on. So when I was in the store to talk about albums that were coming out and things like that, to have that little edge or that knowing a little bit more than the average person, just helped out with the sales and things of that nature. So
Dope, dope, dope.
all this before
So
the internet. This is before you could Google something.
right, the interweb.
Yeah, before you could ask a phone to give you the answer to something and all that great stuff. I don't want to say it because my phone will start talking. Before you could do all that stuff and get it very easy, the magazine was the way. And these magazines in particular for hip hop, being that we're dealing with hip hop in the 50 year, but for the culture, these were the magazines that were very key, in that time frame, say, from 88, on until the internet, took over.
Right.
Yeah.
So is this a project that's coming up with
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. I think I'm going to just start exploring, because I'm a collector. As you guys can see, I got cassette tapes behind me, CDs. Like I have stuff from day one. We did the thing with the 45s. I have
Yes.
45. I still have my full record collection of vinyl. Even though we do the Serato thing, I was never going to get rid of my records. There was no way I was going to do that. So I have a lot of this stuff and most of it in, I wouldn't say mint condition because I didn't keep them in the little bags or whatever. But
Yeah.
for how old they are, they're definitely,
Fairly good condition.
yeah. And as you can see, the ones I even showed you, they're clean. Like they don't look all beat up and used and abused like they've been in a barber shop or anything like that, or line. Yeah. So I would definitely, you know, kind of put those things out there a little more and kind of share what I have because I don't think a lot of people, have this. They know about it, but most people had the magazines and probably were moving around and threw them out or whatever. But me, everywhere I went, the magazines went, the albums went,
Right.
the 45s went, the cassettes went, the CDs went. So show off some of that stuff because I know a lot of people don't even have it, or for those that don't even weren't even around when it was around. When it was out, kind of just educate them because that's the biggest thing is to educate these younger cats on how we did things.
Right.
That's why we have such a different opinion on how to attack certain things because our sources were different.
Yep.
It was a little more complicated back then. It wasn't as easy. Everything couldn't get done from your house. You had to, leave your home and go out and venture out, or get something in the mail every month trying to explain what was going on. So
Oh, that is so dope, bro. Thank you for coming on and showing these magazines. We are at the halfway mark on this is day 25 of 50. We got 25 more days to go. We're on the halfway mark, counting down now. And we're gonna have DJ heavy hitter DJ Cam back on. We're gonna have some other old school DJs come on. It's gonna be a panel of people. It's gonna be the West Coast, the East Coast. We may have a few people from out of the country.
okay,
We don't know what's going to happen on these next 25, but we are at the halfway mark. And shout outs to everyone who made this happen. DJ Cool Herc, Kokla Rock, that
mm-hmm.
whole crew, the Cold Crush Brothers, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, Furious
Funky
4,
Fun, yeah, Funky 4 plus
Curtis
one,
Blow, all of these
yeah,
artists that came out and the DJs, Grand Wizard Theodore,
mm-hmm.
uh, Disco Mario King,
Yep. DJ AJ, all
all,
right,
all DJ AJ, all of these people that just made this thing happen. We are on the halfway mark and we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. Thank you, everyone. Harry the Big Dog with heavy hitter DJ Cam. We out.